All right, man. Round 2. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The first one was pretty damn good. People love that episode. So
good. Yeah,
I'm excited to get into it with you. You just got back. You're helping, I saw 50 brilliant leaders navigate how they operate as an organization. I saw you do a post about that on LinkedIn. I wanted to just kind of dive into that first and say, what was that kind of engagement like, and what were some of the key takeaways from working with those leaders?
Yeah, sure. So give me a minute while I think about what it was that I did in that workshop.
Something on conscious leadership or...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So...
I was in there. No, I'm just kidding. We had a spy.
So in that workshop,
Yeah.
I introduced a couple of fundamentals that I introduced to every one of my clients and every team that I work with. We worked on sharing unarguably. And what that means is, improving the amount of communication and feedback that happens within an organization. And, I've been in lots of organizations, and I've never met anyone that doesn't value communication and feedback. Everyone says, of course, we value communication and feedback. And I've never been in an organization where everyone is sharing all of what there is to share. So,
Right.
So what's the deal? Everyone
Right.
values it, but it's not happening. So,
Right.
I've got some thoughts on what's in the way. And so that's what we explored there, and we can talk about that today.
Yeah.
The second thing we talked about is how to eliminate drama in organizations through what we call impeccable agreements.
Ooh.
Yeah, so when I go and I hang out in a different organization,
Jot
the number one cause of drama in organizations is what I refer to as sloppy agreements. And there's a lot of different types of sloppy agreements, some of which are just simply not being specific about what you're wanting. But I think that's the obvious one. The less obvious one is when people are saying yes when they don't mean yes. And that leads to all kinds of drama and resentment and exhaustion and nothing good in organizations. So we talked about both of those things. It was terrific. We had a blast.
Cool. We're definitely going to dive into this. I think this is super valuable for founders, entrepreneurs listening or aspiring for 2 reasons. One, you work with a lot of CEOs, founders, business owners to improve how they interact with their team, performance, things like that. But I think the other aspect is this is just good, what I would call kind of psychological, mental health type things. It's not like fluffy duffy stuff. This is real shit that holds people back. It all goes back to what's going on up in here and here, obviously. And so I think there's just value, even if you weren't even in a business, I think you'd get a ton of value from this. It's just people skills.
It's just people stuff
Yeah,
in a
man.
business context. I use these same tools with my wife, with
Right.
my daughter, all my friends.
Exactly. So let's get into the first thing you said, which is the communication piece. Everyone agrees we want to communicate, we want to be open and honest, we want to share things, but it doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen in the first place, from what you see?
It doesn't happen because people are scared. And that doesn't necessarily mean that people are consciously aware of their fear. But as human beings, we are designed, biologically, to avoid doing anything or saying anything that's going to put us in danger's way. So if we're never going to say something to someone that is going to potentially impact our sense of security in the world.
Why do some people not have that filter as much, though?
What do they have?
Because some people are just like, yo, you look stupid. That's just and then not that you want to be doing that type of communication, but it seems like some people are just willing to, they just don't have a problem with it. And then there's a scale where it's the other people, or some people that don't want to share anything. And then there's probably a happy middle where most people are.
Yeah. So, there's certainly different personality types in the world, and most of that comes from how you were raised and the people you surrounded yourself with as a young person.
Yeah.
So, for some people, it doesn't actually feel consequential to be really outspoken.
Okay.
Given their upbringing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so people aren't sharing because they're fearful. They don't want to, and I think this goes back to probably survival, right? We're trying to survive. I don't want to get kicked out of the tribe. I don't want my identity to come into question,
Exactly.
Walk us through some of that stuff. What's actually happening in the mind when we want to speak out about something or share something, but we don't?
Well, I think what's happening in the mind is not a whole lot. Honestly, it's not like we're sitting here thinking, I've got something to share with that person, and I'm too scared to share it, so I'm not going to share it.
Yes.
That doesn't happen all that much.
Yeah.
But usually when I'm talking with someone, a client or whatever, I'll ask, have you gone all the way? Have you shared all of what there is to share with that other person? And the answer is almost always no. And then I'll ask, So what's in the way? Why haven't you shared that? And then they start thinking about it. Well, I guess I'm doing it because I don't know what'll happen if I do. And then we keep going there. Well, maybe I'll get fired. Maybe. And, this is where our biology takes over. If we lose our job, then all of a sudden we're in this belief that we're not going to be able to take care of our family and have, food on the table and shelter. And this is all just our process that's unconscious. Mm-hmm. So more than anything in these tools I like bringing to people, it's helping them wake up and see their humanity. Help them see what they're doing unconsciously or not doing unconsciously. And love all of that and appreciate and accept all of that. We're an incredible animal species, but then choose with intention to share the thing that you're not sharing. Like, is it really true that you'll get fired if you share with your boss something that you believe will help them be more successful? And in fact, how might the opposite be true? How might they just so appreciate you sharing feedback for them because no one else is?
Yeah.
We can't improve if we're not getting feedback.
Yeah.
Yet I know there's very few organizations where upwards feedback is seen all that regularly. Mm-hmm. And everyone loses when that happens.
Yeah, it's funny. We had this conversation, not quite to the degree that probably you're talking about here with leadership and teams and people need to communicate something really valuable and they're not. But we had a little micro dose of that, Jim, right? This morning where I was talking to my team and he's helping us film content. He's our content director. Jim's doing an awesome job. And he's over here. And I start looking this way to talk to him on a call with my team. And he's trying to film me. Uh-huh. He's trying to get a good shot. He's trying to do his job, right? And I'm like, nice job. I appreciate that. And then all of a sudden, because I turn this way, he starts coming over here in the corner. And he's trying to work his best way around all this equipment. And so he's just trying to get a great shot for me. But I was like, Jim, just tell me to move. I was just be like, Alex, can you move your body this way, move your head this way?
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit of hesitation even there for him to say in that moment, hey, need you to move a little bit.
Yeah. Sometimes that might just be, he's just trying to be accommodating.
Yeah, he was.
But oftentimes it's, I'm scared to speak up. Now, and it's not Jim may not have been thinking, hey, I'm scared to speak up to Alex.
Right.
We just avoid naturally conflict.
Conflict, yeah.
And so we just don't speak up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that's probably what it was? Just trying to be accommodating and not.
That's exactly what it was.
I was on a call. He didn't want to disrupt me. It's all coming from a good place, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Most of us, we mean well.
Right.
We all want to be successful. We want each other. Generally, if you care about the people you work with, we all want each other to be successful.
So what do you do in that situation afterwards, right? Because I just went, and I like using real life examples because for people, this is relatable. It's real versus
Yeah.
And so as we go through this, I'll try to bring up examples. But afterwards, I was like, hey, dude, I appreciate you trying to get the shot. I was like, next time though, just tell me. I was like, you're the director, you own that. Just pull me or just ask me to move, whatever you need from me.
Well, I think that's awesome, and I mean, seems like that's a great strategy. I'd be curious what Jim, what do you think in having heard that? Was that helpful?
I think it was. It definitely created more so of it definitely helps to reorient the dynamic going forward. Where it's okay if I'm a little bit disruptive because at the end of the day, it helps both of us do our job better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes we just, especially with our bosses, we just need to feel a little permission. It's, once we get permission from our bosses to speak up,
yes,
then it just eases our nervous system and we're just able to do it.
Yeah.
More comfortably. And what I tell people is when I introduce this stuff to them, it doesn't work unless the CEO is willing to play ball.
Totally.
Because everyone's just going to be too scared. Unless the CEO or whoever the executive leader is speaking up and saying, I would actually be more upset if you didn't give me feedback. No one's going to. It's just too scary.
Yeah.
It's unnatural. A lot of the stuff I'm asking people to do you might classify it as unnatural in some ways. I think it's incredibly natural, but it's also unnatural because we're all just trying to stay alive.
Right.
At the fundamental level.
What helps people sort of get out of their comfort zone? Because it seems like a lot of times we're just kind of staying in the comfort zone that we've known from childhood, adulthood. Yeah. Are there any certain things that you try to get through to somebody to say you've got to start to push out of your even maybe next time, Jim, I'm curious to see, when he needs the shot, he goes, hey, can I get you to turn,
I don't think anyone's going to bother changing their behavior unless they have a relationship with the cost they're paying, staying in the same pattern. Until people see clearly, when I don't speak up, here's what happens, and they begin taking ownership of that, that's what motivates them to create change. If people aren't able to associate the cost that they're paying with their inaction, they're not going to change. And so I don't really believe there's a right or wrong way to be, but the approach I like to take with my clients is I do like to create awareness around what you're creating in your life and in your business and on your teams.
Right.
I like to connect dots that they may not be seeing. I will help them begin to take responsibility for the costs, not by blaming them for it, but just to create awareness around it, and then ask, so, I don't know, how happy are you with that outcome? Is that what you want? Are you comfortable with that, or do you want something else? If you want something else, okay, well then now we can talk about choosing a different reaction or choosing a different behavior.
So maybe looking back, not to overanalyze this, but maybe looking back, I would have asked Jim, how'd you feel about being over there for the shot? You know, like maybe walking through, do you think that's just overanalyzing it? I could just tell him in this case, hey, just
I love what you did.
Okay.
Sometimes we can mask our own feedback with a question because it probably feels a little safer and easier to do that. But it might be, I always, there's a way of sharing feedback with others, I think that is easier for them to receive. We call it sharing unarguably. But before I share any feedback, I always want to affirm the relationship. Like, hey, Jim, I so value you here. You're doing great. Like, I just love how you capture everything.
To me, I loved how he was willing to just jump over anything to get the shot.
Gosh.
I was like, dude, that's awesome. Yeah.
So I just want to, Jim, you are going so out of your way to get the shot. I so appreciate that. And I'm having the thought that this would be easier if you just told me to move.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be right about my opinions. The thought I'm having is this whole thing would be a lot easier if you just told me to move.
Yeah.
And you set that up in a way like, generally when people feel cared for and like, hey, I have feedback for you because I care about you,
right,
then it's way easier to receive it. So I always want to preface that up front. We call affirming the relationship before you dive into any constructive feedback.
Yeah.
I think it makes it easier to receive.
It seems like intention is just a big piece of this. Like when there's, and the fact that people know that you care about them and that type of stuff. I want to get to the impeccable agreement, I think you said it was.
Impeccable agreements.
Before that, how important do you think it is for a leader to understand their employees and team on a more personal life level? Not that they need to be in their business or their weeds, because people want to share different things and you don't have to pull that out of someone. But how important do you think it is for a leader to really understand how this role at the company gets them to where they want to go in their life?
Certainly nice. Not every CEO can talk to hundreds of people that, actually.
Well,
they
can
if they
reports.
choose.
Yeah, they could.
That is
but
a choice.
But even direct reports, though,
Yeah, I think most people like to feel valued. They like to feel seen in the world. Certainly, like direct reports, like a leadership team. If one of the things that I believe is really critical for teams to thrive is having compassion for one another at some level, at least understanding. I want to know what you love about your job. I want to know what you hate about your job. I want to know what your boundaries are. I want to really know you, because once we understand each other's similarities and differences, well, now we can move towards whatever shared goal with our eyes open.
Yeah.
How do we take care of each other and achieve what we want to achieve? If we don't know each other, and if we don't have some mutual respect for one another, it's going to be really hard to walk in step.
Yeah.
So, whenever I start working with the team, a big part of what we do is dive deep into really getting to know one another in ways that you probably don't know each other. Then from there, the question can become, given your similarities and differences, who do you want to be as a team? Because there's no right way to be a team.
Yeah.
There's no one answer, but you're two unique snowflakes. Like, I've never used this expression, just coming out of nowhere. What's the snowball you want to be? Like,
I love it.
Yeah. Like, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
And you can't really answer that until you deeply know the other person.
Right.
So
that's so true.
Yeah.
So impeccable agreements. Well, tell us about that.
Yeah. Impeccable agreements is a few things. One, it's getting incredibly clear about who's going to do what and by when. Now, actually, it might be easier to talk about impeccable agreements by talking about the sloppy agreements.
Let's do that.
That typically get in the way.
What not to do. Yeah.
What not to do. So, lots of times people don't share specifically who's going to do what and by when. It's like, hey, can you get me that thing? by whenever, blah, blah, blah. And if people don't have the specificity around dates and around specific expectations, you're just introducing room for error.
Right.
And that error will bite people. That's kind of the obvious piece. There's another type of sloppy agreement. It's real common for people to say, I'll try my best. I never want to leave a conversation when someone tells me that they're going to try their best. Because why do you think someone would say, I'll try my best?
They're leaving room for if they make a mistake or don't complete it. It's like, hey, I tried my best.
Exactly.
You're already kind of giving yourself an out.
Right. Because if you were a yes, you'd say, yes.
Done. I'm going to get this done.
Yeah. So I would way rather have someone tell me no rather than I'll try my best. So I encourage leaders, if anytime someone says, I'll try their best, don't leave the conversation. It's an invitation to learn. Great. Tell me what the resistance is. What are you worried about? That would be really helpful for me to know.
Yeah.
We can negotiate a different type of agreement that you feel really comfortable with, or I'll pull someone else in, or But if I'm a leader and I need something done, I want someone on the other end, or two people or three people that feel really good about getting it done, and they're confident that they can do it.
Yeah.
So that's the second type of sloppy agreement that shows up all the time. And the big one that we talk a lot about is when people just simply say yes when they don't mean yes. And again, that is just a survival strategy. If I were to say no to my boss, that would mean I'm not a team player. That would mean I may be sacrificing my chances for promotion or for a raise, or I don't know if my seat in this company will be secure. And again, we're not consciously thinking about all of these things, but we naturally behave in a way to reduce any friction or conflict. It's just what we do. Mm-hmm. Now, the irony is, when we say yes, but we don't mean yes, nothing good happens. Either the work comes back shitty, and now I've actually created a reason for my boss not to like me
Yeah.
or to be upset with me in some way, or I'll drop a ball somewhere else.
Right.
And so now I've created another conflict, or I'll get it all done, and now I'm exhausted and useless to the company. I need a mental health day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Nothing good comes from it. So I always encourage people to, when someone asks you to do something, everyone stop for a minute and check in. Do I have an energetic yes to this? Am I in? And if not, great. Let's just talk about what you, like, maybe I'm the wrong person for the job. Maybe your boss or whoever can help you reprioritize everything else that's already on your plate. Like, is this thing you're asking me to do more important than these three other things you already asked me to do? But you want to get into conversation until everyone feels good about this, and then you move forward. And it's sloppy if you don't, and nothing good happens when you're moving forward with sloppy agreements. Mm-hmm. So you make impeccable agreements. You get really specific. Who's going to do what and by when? You don't stop negotiating until you're a yes. Now, you might determine, I am a no for this, but I care about you and I'm a team player, and I'm going to help you find someone. I'm going to be part of the solution, if that would be helpful. Like, I know Jimmy down the hall, just something fell off his plate, and I think this would be a great opportunity for him to learn a new skill. Maybe he's interested in this. Like, you can still be part of the collective solution. So everyone's feeling really good about the decisions they make on a team. Now, there's two other pieces to this.
Okay, please, yeah.
Yeah, so you start with an impeccable agreement, and then your kid gets COVID, or something. I blew a tire.
Right.
Like, every once in a while, shit happens.
Yeah.
Now, how you deal with that also is, I think, what makes these agreements impeccable. So you can renegotiate an agreement if you find out, wow, I just agreed to do something by noon on Thursday. I am no longer going to be able to do that given this completely unexpected occurrence. So I'm going to get back with the other person, say, hey, I'd like to renegotiate that with you this Friday at 10 a.m. acceptable rather than Thursday at noon. Back into a negotiation. The answer might be, yeah, that's perfect. The answer might be, actually, thank you for telling me, no, I actually need it done Thursday at noon. I'm going to go get Jimmy down the hall to do it. Mm-hmm. And then every once in a while you break an agreement. This is the third piece of impeccable agreements. And you just want to clean up your mess. Every once in a while we poop the bed. And you got to clean it up. Like, hey, Alex, true. I know I agreed to do this thing with you, and I fell short. I didn't do it. And I just want to see if I broke trust. I want to see if there was an impact I created, because if there is, I want to know about it and see if I can clean it up in some way.
Wow.
So
that's advanced level conversation right there. Yeah.
It is, but it doesn't need to be.
I know.
Unnatural.
But I'm saying that's yeah.
But like if
you
people
don't hear a lot
do
of
this,
those. Yeah.
if people start doing this stuff, it just can radically shift the culture.
In a lot of ways, it's common sense, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of
totally.
like, just play it out. Like, what's the worst that could happen here?
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you say that? But that's the stuff that I feel like we need the most help with when you boil it down to teams and people working together.
Yeah.
It's not as easy. It may be simple, but it's not always easy.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So if you're going into let's say a CEO, a founder has a review with an employee. It's an important employee to them. They're doing well. And they're going to sit down I just want to get some time with this person, heat check, talk about the vision of where we're going, how they play a role in that, their goals. What might you arm that CEO with going into that meeting, or founder going into that meeting? What advice might you say? What might be some things that you'd say, I definitely would hit on this. I would definitely get curious about this. Is there a structure that you use? I'm curious. I think a lot of probably founders and CEOs are not having enough touch points, or maybe it's like every quarter or every, twice a year. But I think even when they're having the touch points, I think you'd probably see this too, where it's just kind of like surface level. How's it going? Good. How are you doing? So, what do you think of this? It's just, there's not like, what are we getting out of this? Like, what are we really trying to accomplish during our time together?
Well, I think that's the question I would ask the CEO. Why are you meeting with this person? Like, what's your intention?
Yeah.
Are you doing it just to feel connected? Are you wanting to get feedback? Are you wanting to offer feedback?
What if they're like, they're doing a good job. I want to make sure they're happy, successful, and I want to retain them.
Yeah, then I'd say, well, then tell them that.
You would just tell them that.
Hey, Jimmy, I haven't talked with you in a while.
Yeah.
I think you're doing really great.
Yeah.
I value our relationship. I value your place here in the company. I just wanted to check in with you and share all that and see if I could help in some way.
Would you tell them that, hey, I'd love to have you stay here? Like, my goal is to keep you here and make you happy.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to hear that as an employee?
Yeah.
Like, I so value you here. How's it going? What feedback do you have for me? If you could change something in the organization, what would you change? If you could change me in some way, what would be different?
And how do you make sure you get real answers back? Because I've had some of those conversations, and sometimes it's just kind of like they just it's the boss, the whole dynamic of them. No, I don't want to say anything too crazy here. I don't want him to think. It's like trying to create that safe environment where they feel comfortable with it. But as much as you try, it's still hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, hey, I want you to be really honest with me here. Like I need it.
Yeah. Well, you're never going to be able to control your employees. But the question is, how do you set up the conditions, and how do you model the behavior you're wanting from them? I always ask leaders, who's the leader you need to be to invite them to show up the way you want them to be? So if you're asking or wanting them to be vulnerable, well, are you willing to go first as the CEO and share some vulnerability with that person? Are you willing to offer some feedback? Are you like that? You're setting the playing field, and you got to go first. Because if you're not, there's no way. It's rare that employees are going to come in and be completely open and honest about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you have the employee prepare anything for that meeting potentially? Is there anything you would have them think about coming into it, or think about things they appreciate or want to improve, or strengths, weaknesses, anything like that?
Yeah, I think people really appreciate having some time to think about anything consequential, especially with someone that they may be a little bit nervous to meet with, like their boss potentially. I like to do that anytime I'm meeting with, even if I have someone that's even curious about coaching, the first question I'll ask over email prior to meeting with that person is, if 6 months of coaching were to be especially valuable to you, a great use of your time, money, and resources, what would be different in 6 months? They go off and they think about it, and then they bring that in and we have a conversation about it.
Yeah, we ask that in our onboarding surveys too.
Yeah,
ideally, what looks different in 3 to 6 months?
Especially if it's a question, you're wanting to know something that may require some deep thought, sure, give them some time to ponder it. You're going to get a better answer.
Yeah. I think I know your answer to this question, but how do you know if you're a good leader, if you're being a good leader?
Oof. How do you know if you're being a good leader?
It's like, I don't know, because you have your kind of internal thoughts. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm doing good here and here. But then there's also the reality of like, maybe you're accurate mostly, maybe you're way off. So it's like, how do you kind of gauge as a leader if you're doing a good job?
Well, first of all, I will say it depends on how you're defining what a leader is.
Okay.
I know plenty of leaders that run their companies, they're redlining their companies, there's high attrition, people are cranking up, but they're hitting their numbers. Like, some people may say, yeah, this person's being a good leader. People aren't happy there, but you're getting the shareholders are happy.
Well, I'm more talking about just someone in a role where they have direct reports, right? Where people look up to them for direction, for leadership, for,
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things that come to mind.
Yeah.
One, I would want that leader to think about what does it mean to be a good leader? Like, how would you define that? And then second, I would go and I would ask the employees.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different surveys and 360 tools and stuff. Like, get candid feedback to see if you're achieving what you want to achieve as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any, like, don't sit in your stories or beliefs, go get the actual answer. So I always encourage my leaders to go do that. Get the data.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of ways to do that. Different tools out there that I like using that people actually feel comfortable sharing because they know that whatever they share won't get back to them. The leader will never know that it's that person that shared it.
Yeah.
So they feel comfortable sharing whatever there is to share.
Right.
I love doing that and leaders are often, we all have blind spots.
Totally.
I've never met anyone that sees themselves all that accurately with how everyone else is seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
Some more than others, but
I saw you speak live in Chicago. I was at an event. I was brought there by Kevin, mutual friend connection of ours. And one of the things that really stuck out to me were, I think this goes into crossing the line or going beneath the line. Mm-hmm. The three things our brains are constantly scanning for. You remember what I'm talking about, obviously, because you teach this stuff. What are those three things? Because I think this really helped me put some things in perspective of like, oh, if I'm in this moment or kind of going below the line, and maybe we'll describe what that is.
Yeah.
Kind of associate it with, okay, I got it. I sort of understand. To your point, it's being conscious of it first, and then it's like doing something about it.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that, first and foremost, we are animals trying to stay alive.
Yep.
And there's a part of our brain dedicated to doing that. And we are always, there's different models, the one I like, and they're very similar, but the three words that you're referring to, we are constantly scanning to ensure we have security, approval, and control. And anytime our mind, consciously or unconsciously, is believing that one, two, or three of those things is threatened, we would go what you're referring to as below the line, and we react in a survival strategy that usually takes us further from what we're wanting to create in our lives.
Which could be what?
So, when we're numbing out, checking out, being the victim, blaming others, gossiping, any of the toxic behavior you see in organizations, it's almost always a reaction to just simply being scared.
Right.
It's our way of feeling better in the world or in the particular circumstance. Now, I can go into more detail if you want about what those three things are. It's basically, do I have the food and shelter and resources I need to stay alive and keep my family alive? Security. Approval is, do I feel connected with the group? 30,000 years ago, if you were kicked out of your colony or your tribe, you died because human beings can't hunt and gather and do everything you need to do. So anytime someone says something or we say something and people don't like it, if we believe they don't think we're smart enough or funny enough or a good enough leader, we're separated from them, we get anxious. We go below the line. And then the last one is control, where we like certainty. We don't like uncertainty. We don't like curveballs. Anytime we sense that we don't have a say as to what's going on around us, we go below the line, we get nervous, and we react.
Mm-hmm. It's like when we did the exercise, we had to come up with a specific example of something that happened to us, and then we kind of determined why we went below the line. And if you just think about it, and everyone listening here, there's times you get maybe a little upset, you get defensive, you react in a way you're like, that wasn't the best version of me.
Yeah.
Accepting it, that's okay, I'm human, I make mistakes, it happens,
Exactly.
I did it because of this, recognizing why it's happening. But I think really understanding, okay, I think that happened because that threatened my identity in that moment. And that was why I probably did that. Okay, let me be conscious of this for next time, potentially, right? It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
The whole piece is, and everyone always, I'm not going to go into it, there's a big model around this, but one of the parts of the model is acceptance.
Yeah.
Like, I love asking people, and it's such a weird question often, but like, can you just accept yourself for being scared and your body and brain doing exactly what they're designed to do? Gossiping and blaming.
Yeah.
That's all what we're designed to do that.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it because you're a bad leader or a bad person. You're doing it because you're a human being that's scared.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you can see that pattern, can you just offer yourself a breath of acceptance rather than beating yourself up for it? And then what would you be willing to do differently next?
Do you find that a lot of leaders and founders beat themselves up a lot?
We all beat ourselves up.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's times, I think I've actually gotten better on it, and I'm going to talk to you about this topic next that kind of leads into this, but there are certain times where you're going to make a mistake or do something, and it kind of lives with you a little bit longer. And you're like, you almost can't stop thinking about it every so often. You're like, God, I messed that. I shouldn't have done. Like, I messed that up, mistake you made or whatever it is, professional, personal, whatever. And then there's other times where you're like, hey, I made the mistake. I'm human. I learned. I move on. Yeah. And it seems easier to kind of flesh out. What do you say to people that kind of tend to live more in the beating themselves up, staying in that zone, affecting maybe their even self-worth because it's so, every little thing just keeps adding up?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you've done or what you believe you've done, you might be in a shame spiral, or you may be guilty about something, or it may not be that consequential. If you're stuck in something that you're hiding from and feeling shame around, I would ask that person if they're willing to shine a light on it. Shame can't live in the light. And so what that is would you be willing to share with whoever you need to share about what you did and how you feel about it? And clean it up with some self-compassion.
Yeah.
Some people naturally have more shame than others. Again, sometimes it's event specific.
I think last time we talked about even fear sometimes likes to live in the shadows. And when you open that window up and you expose it and it's light, and one of the examples I gave was I really wanted to speak in meetings and speak up more in front of crowds. And now I've done stages, and since that, this is years ago. But I remember one day I was like, I would maybe even try it, and my face would get red. I get nervous, and then people look at you, and it gets even more red, and it's like, oh man. And then one day I was just like, someone asked me to come speak, and I was like, I'll do it. And I was just joking. They're like, no, come on up. I was like, no, I was just kidding. He's like, no, come on up. This is Drew, if you're listening to this right now, a good leader. And he said, just come on up, just do it. And I said, all right. And I came up and I go, my face is probably going to turn red, but I'm going to do this anyways. And as soon as I said that, it didn't turn red.
Yeah.
Because I put it out there. Yeah. I didn't hide it and like, oh my gosh, can they see? Oh, what if this comes out? I was like, hey, here's my secret. Here's my fear right now, my insecurity. And sure enough, it didn't happen. And so it's just interesting how when you flush those things out and you put it in the light, to your point, yeah, man, that really helps.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do this for a living. And I get nervous before I do this all the time.
Right, yeah.
And the first thing I want to do is deal with it, not hide from it.
Right. Exactly.
I love the strategy of what you did. Like, I spoke at Northwestern, 3-4 years ago. And I don't know what was going on, but I was deeply anxious, like almost panicky before, sitting in my car, just like totally below the line, probably deeply, I don't know if it was probably approval was the thing. Like, oh my gosh, I don't remember what was going on in my life, but it was like I was really stressed.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did, I went up there. It was something along the lines of, if you were to really know me right now, hey everyone, I'm Clay. If you were to really know me right now, I'm scared shitless to be up here. Like, I said something along the lines like, how many of you can, and then I used it. That's what's really fun about that. Yeah. Everyone can relate.
Totally.
Like, who doesn't get a little nervous?
Especially in front of people. Everyone's deathly afraid of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what I did, I was kind of patting myself on the back for this afterwards, but I just used that as a topic of conversation. Like, you're all aspiring business leaders. Like, do you all get nervous when you're presenting a business, blah, 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 blah? Yeah. Okay, how do you deal with that? And oh my gosh, this is such a competitive environment. They're one of the top business schools right now. Like, what do how are you managing your stress? And so it's a gift for everyone when we are willing to share our own humanity, has been my experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I think it helps to, when you're listening as an entrepreneur, when you're listening to more seasoned entrepreneurs and they talk about their mistakes and failures and what they've been through and their insecurities, sometimes it's really nice to hear. Because it's like, wow, you seem to be this big success, and maybe they even are. Yeah. But it's like, it's nice to know that like you went through shit too, and you struggled, and you almost lost this, and you had failures and setbacks, and there's something kind of like, wow, I can relate to this person. I kind of want to open up now.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I am always at my best, and I think I draw people in the more human I am with them.
Right. Is there a line to be crossed though, where you're like doing that too much to where you don't seem as credible? at a certain point where you're just constantly like, people are like, all right, dude, get your shit together. It's like,
well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
Maybe is my answer. There may be someone, if I was to reveal some fear or something, they'd be like, yeah, I don't trust that guy. Like,
right. Okay.
Great. We're not a fit then.
Right.
But I'm not going to bullshit you or me about who I am in the world.
Right. Yes. I agree.
And people just, well, you don't have to get comfortable with that, but I've gotten comfortable with that all I can do is tell the truth.
Yeah.
If I tell the truth, life is good.
Yeah.
And that draws certain people towards me and maybe not others.
Me and Jim were talking about that too, just in relationships. And it's like, you're going to have some people in your life that don't accept you for who you are, or don't appreciate the things that make you kind of unique and weird or whatever it is. We all have those things. And it's like, you have to, but then you'll have people that really appreciate that and say, wow, Alex, I like that. Jim, I like that you're that way. That's really cool. And it's like, part of it's like finding your tribe. And same in business too. It's like finding the right clients that you're like, boom. Yeah. This is it.
I mean, in my life, my friends and the people I work, even my clients, like, I want to hang out with people that are willing to share openly, vulnerably.
Yeah.
And we can have some fun with it too.
Yes.
We can joke with ourselves.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, we're just silly human beings.
Yes.
We're just trying
That's
to find our way. And,
yes.
But I spent, the reason I became a coach is because I was an anxious wreck the first half of my life, because I wasn't doing that. I was putting on a huge show.
Interesting.
And I learned that is not a way to live for me. And so,
now, what was causing you to put on a show? Like, as you look back, like, you're like, I see why I was doing that now.
Yeah, well, I learned at a very young age that to feel or to receive attention and love, I had to show up as the boy that everyone wanted me to be. We all have some version of that story.
Yep.
And I learned, and as literally a young brain learns, that to be safe and happy in the world, the way to do that is to be the person that they want me to be. And so then what happens is we grow into become young adults, and we're using that strategy. For me, I had terrible romantic relationships because I was trying deeply to be the perfect boyfriend, and I was trying to be the perfect employee, and I was trying to be the perfect fill in the blank, any relationship, until I was having panic attacks and just an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
And I had a choice. Are these the outcomes? Is this the life I'm wanting to live? And am I willing, with some self-acceptance, to choose something different? Now, it took some work. And that's the work I love inviting others into. It's like, we don't have to be stuck in those old patterns.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really don't have to. And it's not easy, but is it worth stepping into the uncomfortableness and trying something else on? For me, the answer has been yes.
It's sad when you see people, we all have friends and family, where you can kind of see the patterns preventing them from being a better version of themselves, but they're not willing to really do that work. Yeah. And they almost openly admit it, I'm not going to talk to someone. This is how I am. And it's like, damn, that sucks. When it's your parent or when it's your close friend, you're like, damn, man, that sucks.
Yes,
But what do? It's like, if you're not willing to step forward and give that a shot, I don't know what I can do.
Well, a couple answers. One, you love them exactly the way they are. They're on whatever point in their journey that they're on. And if it's really bothering you, I would begin to get curious about what's going on over there with that person that I'm unwilling to be with over here within myself. So,
but what if it's affecting other family members, or it's not about you, it's about that person's not changing and therefore they're making other people around them unhappy, upset, that kind of stuff.
Well, I always think there's opportunity to speak unarguably and offer feedback.
Yeah.
Not being righteous about your feedback.
Right.
But, hey, sister, brother, whatever it is, I'm having the thought that when you show up this way, our family is impacted. I don't need to be righteous about it. I don't need to prove that I'm right or you wrong about this. But the impact that I'm having is, you can share that. You can also share, and I know my part in this is, because you are co-creating whatever the conflict is, always.
Yeah.
It's not just one person.
Right.
If I'm upset about her doing whatever she's doing, how am I creating upset over here? We can get into a lot of what that actually means. But I own all that. am I willing to share with compassion and with love with that other person what my experience is like being with them, and then let go of needing to control any outcome, because you can't.
Yeah, and oftentimes sometimes those folks that are really closed off will just be like, I don't want to hear your shit, you know. And it's
Then
like, okay, then I guess that's the end.
Yeah. So how do I need to be in the world, understanding that she's going to be exactly who she is?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. It's like you could just control yourself.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
yeah.
You can share, you can be open and honest, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, knowing that now, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, and you can, if you're really playing ball, you can begin to explore the question or the idea that, well, how did that person show up in my life to teach me exactly the most important thing I need to learn about myself? Because if I'm having a strong reaction to her, where is that reaction coming from?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here with that reaction? Am I really seeking her love? And would I be willing to offer myself that love that I'm wanting from her? Like, there's always a connection. How am I creating that upset over here?
Clay, let me ask you this, though. Do you ever think about this? Like, had you not had the upbringing that you had, and I had not had the upbringing I've had, and we've all had, right? We've all had experiences and things. Childhood, we've just all had stuff.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be doing this today. So sometimes I think about it, and it's like, if I would have gotten more of a relationship from X, Y, and Z person, family, friend, whatever it is, I'm like, man, that was like a big gap for me. But it also like kind of inspired me to like want to be a better person or change or fill that gap or motivate me to do stuff. So it's like, do you ever think about that, honestly? Like,
oh, for sure.
If you go back in time, would you really change it that much? Maybe I don't know.
That's a good question. Would I change it?
You know?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't think I would either.
I love my life. It was difficult. And it led me exactly to where I am now. And, I chose to be a coach, and, coaches and therapists and other types of people, or really anyone. It's like we teach others what we need to learn ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, this work has helped me radically shift my life. I love it. And I am so rewarded when I can help others benefit from these same tools and resources that I have.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't so deeply affected by them, I don't know if I'd give a shit enough to like dedicate my life to helping others do it.
Right.
So we're always connected to our past one way or another.
For sure. And it's also hard to tell if that wouldn't have been an issue. Would you have gone on to do something else that would have been equally as impactful, but just in a different area too?
Well,
so there's always that.
Something I have been thinking about. So, I'm a full-time coach. Before I was a coach, I was an innovation consultant, helping Fortune 500 companies come up with, like I was working on a team helping Samsung come up with the future of headphones.
Wow.
Like really cool stuff.
Wow.
I made myself miserable on that job because I was asleep at the wheel, desperately trying to please everybody. But I was really good at innovation. And so I still wonder sometimes, like, gosh, I wonder how that experience would be now with the insight and growth that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a fun.
Totally different,
the fun thing to consider.
Yeah.
But I love coaching, and I'm just trying to blend innovation and coaching, and that's kind of a cool intersection.
Totally. Yeah. You talk a lot about self-love too. What is self-love, and how do you begin to love yourself or continue to love yourself?
How much time you got?
Let's do we got a little bit of time. We're not pressed for time, but I think this is a big, like a lot of people are talking more and more about this. But it's also like one of those buzzwords of like self-love, you got to love yourself, but it's like, but how? Like what am I doing? Am I looking in the mirror and going, I love you, Alex, I love you, Alex? Like, I don't think so. Right.
Yeah. I probably have lots of answers, but I was literally with a client this morning who's a new client, introducing him to some of these ideas, and approval was something that was really in the way. Like, he was deeply fearful that the people around him at work weren't approving of him. And I said, hold on a minute. And I went and I grabbed a photo that I have of myself as a 10-year-old boy holding a baseball bat right next to my desk. And I shared with him this photo of myself. And I have that photo there. It's been there for a couple of years. And I just remind myself, even back then when I wasn't getting necessarily the unconditional attention and love that I really yearned, I was just an innocent, brilliant, funny boy.
Right.
As worthy of love as anybody.
Yeah.
So there's a really wonderful I guess it's a retreat experience called the Hoffman process. And so I went through there. We don't need to go into a whole lot of detail, but there is the opportunity for us to recognize that underneath all of the bullshit and the patterns that we pick up, there is just this innocent child.
Yeah.
We all come into this world just helpless and vulnerable, just wanting to be loved and wanting to love. And then we pick up patterns. And so for me, it's self-love has come as a product of letting go of those patterns that were never mine to begin with. We all pick up patterns from our parents and the people that surround us. And claiming, I am not those patterns. I don't need to put on a show to be worthy of love. And so I just need to remind myself, and I needed to go back and really, take that 10-year-old boy with the baseball bat and put him on my lap and love the shit out of him. And that's the work for me to do. And I don't need to count on anyone else for me to just fall in love and just love him unconditionally. So how do you love yourself? Well, I think it really is loving I don't know how else to say it, but I literally if I'm in the shit, if I'm below the line, I will put my young self on my lap and give him a hug and just remind him about how brilliant he is.
Dang. That's deep. That's good too, because I think we all can understand how we would love the younger version, the child, the baby. Like that just makes sense, right? It's like, of course, they could mess up, they could color on the wall. It's like they're just a little human that wants some love and connection, you know? But then as adults, we're so hard on ourselves, and we do beat ourselves up sometimes, and it's like sometimes we don't think we're enough or we're not worthy. And it's like, dang, put yourself back in that little kid.
Yeah, just
dang.
Go back, hit the rewind button, and just remind yourself where you started, and there was never anything lacking when you were a young person.
Right.
Nothing.
You have a daughter, right?
I do.
How does this stuff feed into your relationship with her as a parent? I mean, I imagine you're trying to embed a lot of this stuff in her at a young age, right? Like as I try to do with my daughters too, but
yeah. Well, my daughter, she is clearly a mirror for me. We all high schoolers have anxiety and different. And
she's in high school.
She's in high school, 16.
Yeah.
And I see her fall into the traps that all 16-year-olds fall in.
Right.
She's figuring out what it means to be an individual. She's creating some, she's gotten the patterns from me and her other parents, like growing up, and it's now her time to figure out who she is as an individual. But when I start hearing the stories that we all tell ourselves that knock us down, I have to be careful to, as I mentioned, like finding that self-assurance and self-love comes from you loving yourself. I love that. I just love her so much. Right. And I tell her that.
Right.
But I also want her to love herself.
Yes.
I want to encourage that. Rather than me making her pain go away, that actually isn't, if you really get to the depths of that actually isn't the most helpful thing. I actually want to be a parent that helps her see how fucking brilliant she is.
That's so good, yeah.
So, and
I find myself when they'll do something and I'm proud of them saying like, I'm so proud of you. And then I'm quickly like, are you proud of yourself? I almost like catch them.
Yeah.
Like, I as much as I want you to know I'm proud of you, I'd rather have you be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Because that to me is like, wow, I'm really, I love myself. Like,
what did it feel like for you to, I know you put a lot of work into this thing, and then you just had your show or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What did it feel like? I'd love to hear what that was like for you. Mm-hmm. Like really help her begin to connect her own dots about her own experience.
Right. It's hard as a parent too, because it's like I have two daughters. It's like you want to like give them all this wisdom and like protect them and that kind of stuff, but then also it's like you got to let them kind of make mistakes a little bit and fail a little bit, and like a little bit of tough love at times. Yeah. It's a balance, but you just care so much about them and you want them to turn out great. And you think about what happened, as your experience as a childhood, and you want to make sure that the good stuff they get and the bad stuff they don't. And it's like, and you're just kind of trying your best at the end of the day, right? And it's like,
listen, nothing easy about being a parent.
Mm-hmm.
We just try your best. And it's real easy to want to save our most beloved beings from any pain.
Yeah.
And I just have to remind myself, I want her to experience her own life, and I want her to learn from, like we learn through adversity and through when we skin our knee, we get up and we learned, well, why did I fall in the first place? Like, what's the lesson here for me? And so there's just a little bit of a balance. You don't want her to fall off a cliff. So if you see something that's really bad coming, okay, well, maybe I'm going to step in a little bit more. But otherwise, how do I let her have her experience and help her learn from her experience along the way?
If you were getting on a spaceship right now and you're going to a faraway planet that is the next Earth, and you were never coming back, what might you leave with your daughter if you had maybe a 20-second, 30-second recording and you had just had one message? Aside from I love you and that stuff, is there like a piece of wisdom that you might give her?
Remember earlier in this conversation you said, should I ask people ahead of time the question I'm going to ask them?
That would have been a good one, huh?
Wow.
That's a tough one, right?
Great question.
Yeah.
What's the soundbite I would leave her if I was never going to see her again?
Yeah. Just one piece of wisdom.
A piece of wisdom.
I think there's lots of things you would say in that moment, but like, what's the one, if you could just instill one message, like play this every day and remember, obviously I love you and all that stuff, but like remember this as you go through your life. This is going to be such an important piece.
I don't know if this is right or not. And it actually doesn't, I'm not all that inspired by the answer, but what came to my mind is always ask yourself, is it true? And what I mean by that is, she knows what that means. We tell ourselves all these stories constantly, and we scare ourselves around these stories. And 98% of the time, those stories are a bunch of shit that we're telling ourselves. Is it true that I'm not enough? That I'm not this, that I'm not that? Is it true?
That's good. I like that.
That's what comes to mind.
That's amazing.
Without having time to prepare my answer, Alex.
Yeah. And that's like, it's like I was telling Jim the other day, like I'm making videos, and I've been making videos for a while now, and even the podcast. And there's times when I finish a video and I'm like, man, I like would have answered that differently, or I would have said something different. I would have included more. But then I go back to like, but dude, it's one video, dog. Like it was one podcast. Like you did a great job. You know what I mean? Like you gave so much to the audience listening. Like you didn't have to get every question right. You didn't have to add every little thing in there. There's going to be more, and you're going to do it again. And there's going to, and it's like that just kind of ties back into what we've been talking about. Just being able to like, yeah, it's good. I accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clay, dude, this has been awesome, man. You're welcome back here any freaking time. I just genuinely, wasn't this an awesome conversation, Jim?
This was awesome to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is just awesome. So where can people find you, get in touch with you, and work with you? And maybe if you've got some that like a current kind of, offering or whatever you're running right now, let us know.
This is maybe something else I should have thought about ahead of time. Maybe I'm not the best marketer all the time.
Coming in, he's like, I love how this is unscripted. And at the end, he's like, I wish this was
I haven't thought about this at all. Just ask me a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Well, the website is 1560.com. And what that is 15 SIXTY.
We'll link it up in the description.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. At 1560.com, 15SIXTY.com. You can always go there, and there's contact information there. LinkedIn /Clay Stelzer. You'll probably have that there as well. Mm-hmm. So you can reach me through LinkedIn. You can reach me through the website. Currently, I do a ton of one-on-one coaching for senior leaders, CEOs, executive leaders of small and mid-sized companies. Just so people are aware of the kinds of things.
Please.
I also am doing a lot these days with duo coaching. So a CEO and a COO, or a CEO and a CF. It's kind of it's like marriage counseling.
Yeah. What? It's like butt heads? What?
It's the most important relationship in a company.
Yeah.
And everything is a reflection of that relationship. So I'm doing a lot of coaching with the two at the top. And then executive team coaching, where the whole executive team, we're going to get together and talk about who you are as a team. Those are the typical types of programs that we're offering currently.
Yeah. And really to increase performance of the company, build culture, create better team, camaraderie, that kind of.
And to get unstuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
To see yourselves as a creator in the world, as an executive. If you're experiencing outcomes that you're not happy with, can we just get curious about what you're up to that's leading you and that company to those outcomes?
Yeah.
And there's always an answer. And then once we have that answer, well, what would you be willing to do to get a different outcome? And so I love more than anything to help people get more of what they're wanting in their lives and in their businesses, and to knock out whatever the patterns are, or whatever's in the way of that.
Thanks for being here, brother.
It's my pleasure.
We'll have you on again for sure.
Terrific. I love it.
Sounds good.
Thanks.